All right. Um. So this is my first shot at doing this. Today was a good day. Today was definitely a good day. You know, and it really kind of came together at the end of the day. When I went out to work with some youth, and I really didn't even do anything. I was invited to come and participate in a program where the youth are doing. I was told that the youth would be doing yoga and that the person that invited me, they wanted me to take my handpan and play some tunes and some rhythms while they're doing their yoga session. But life being what it is, that's not what occurred. Because we set this up weeks ago, and you know, I work in the education field, and so just got off spring break, and I spent my spring break in a meditation retreat. And so I came back and I hit the sister up just 1 hour, maybe an hour and a half before, uh, scheduled to be there to see if everything was going to be okay. She said everything was still on. I got everything together, headed over there, right? And then, really, you know, it was my first time meeting all of these brothers and sisters. And so I'm just going to sit back and check the vibe and see, you know, what's going on and get in where I fit in, essentially. You know what I'm saying? And so these are some young brothers and sisters, in high school dealing with high school issues. And I'm sitting back and checking it. And I'm realizing that, you know, there's contention that these brothers and sisters are having. And it's continuously revolving around the reoccurring theme of respect. I'm looking at that and I'm listening to their conversation. I'm like, man, this is happens. This conversation, these dynamics happen over and over in our communities. These conversations are happening from the streets of DC to the streets of Philly to the streets of New York to the streets of Seattle to the streets of Cali to the streets of Kansas City to the streets of Houston. This discussion of respect is ingrained within our being. And then, you know, I can't even say that it has something to do with lack of cultivation. I was recently in Ghana, and there were a few times where we were confronted by these groups, the kings of Ghana had, and then treated or acted towards as if though we were being disrespectful. And it was a big deal. I mean, although they were speaking in their tongue and I couldn't understand what they were saying, you could feel what they were saying. And they were angry, right? Okay, and this is what happened in Ghana. You know, we were essentially 9 hours away from on a bus ride from where we were supposed to be, maybe 10. Okay, let's say we were like 10 hours away. Nine, I think nine. Nine is a better number. I think more like nine. And there was a scheduled meeting for 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And we got on our bus at 6 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Looking at the time frame, and it was communicated that we're 9 hours away. We're not going to be able to make that 2 o'clock appointment. But the Africans, they didn't want to switch their understanding, and they thought we would be there by 2. Now we got there. I don't know if you don't know anything about travel, but when I travel, if something says 6 hours, I typically never make it there in that 6 hour time frame. It's usually a few extra hours, due to pit stops and bathroom breaks and so on and so forth. You know, So we actually didn't make it to this place till sometime after 5:30, 6 o'clock, which honestly is not too far from the 9 hour time period. It's like 10 or 12 hours. It was a long trip, right? And when we got there, they were highly upset, and it was all centering around the theme of respect. They felt as if though we were disrespectful, right? And that was, and then listening to the discussion of the youth tonight brought me back to my trip in Ghana, where the theme of respect was also brought up. And then there were other instances where this theme of respect was brought up. And it made me think, and it made me realize, like, I think that epigenetically, we're programmed to have a certain response and relationship with respect. Is that African people? Is it only African people? No, of course not. Every group of people, every person that exists on this planet looks for and needs to be respected. But the way in which we're handling it, it makes or breaks us as people. And I think we need to acknowledge that. Now, listening to these brothers and sisters talk about what they were dealing with, it came to me like, I think that if people internally identified and understood that there is a greatness within them that they can manifest through discipline, work, and effort, then they can transcend the drama of the moment. It's the drama of the moment which catches them up. And especially in this developmental stage, where the neocortex is just emerging really from the reptilian mammalian brain, instinctual nature of human development, right? Therein was what we call the third chakra stage of development, the Manipura stage, where their will becomes more dominant. Their will and their rational nature is evolving, as well as their understanding of their individuality, who they are as a person within the group of people. So this is developing, and typically this is a warrior type of development. This is a young man, young woman stage of development, because they understand that at this stage and at this phase in their life, they can actually make the choice of how to do, how to live, how to respond, how to act, versus having the choice made for them, which is that really 0 to 7, 7 to 12 and 13, 14-year-old phase, right? The chakra development within that age range doesn't allow for it. The will is dormant. It's by and large dormant. You do have some people who have strong wills, at in that younger age range, but by and large the will is more dormant and malleable. But at 13, 14, that's when the individual begins to understand their option of choice, and they're relating to their emotions very differently. And there's people call this their hormonal development at this time. But anyway, another theme that apparently occurs at this time across the board is respect. And I think if I can get the brothers and sisters to understand that they are greater than the moment, then they will relate to these situations of respect a lot differently. I'll keep you updated on how this goes.